Hey, beautiful people, welcome back. So, I want to share with you a thought, a hypothesis that I have along the lines of this week's theme here on Future Human Project, which is how the internet is impacting our attachment system. So, here's my hypothesis, and then I'll explain it to you. I suspect that for a lot of people out there who are using the internet is tilting folks towards disorganized attachment. So if you don't know what that is, let me explain what disorganized is, and I'll explain why and kind of connect the dots here. So disorganized attachment is one of the insecure attachment styles where these are generally people who grew up in, let's say, abusive households or really unsafe households where their caregivers, the people that they were relying on for safety and comfort and love and connection, were also in some way a source of threat for them. Okay, so this is cliche example, trigger warning here. If someone grew up with a very explosive parent who is, let's say, an addict or an alcoholic and was sometimes very sweet and loving and other times, unavailable and drunk and passed out, or, when they were drunk, they were sometimes explosive and terrifying to be around. That mix of terrifying, unavailable, and then loving for a young child, of course, is deeply confusing. And at the deeper level of our attachment system, this creates what's called disorganized attachment. Disorganized attachment people generally grow up feeling like there's no safe direction to go in. They kind of have a sense of self-distrust. They tend to feel like they're broken on the inside. They also tend to distrust others and not really know who's safe and who isn't. So it's kind of like whether I turn inward or turn outward, there's no comfortable, safe resting ground. So because of this, disorganized people move through these cycles of wanting connection or needing connection or reaching out, longing to be supported and feel safe. But then the moment they get a bit of that, they pull away, or they're frightened, or they're overwhelmed, or they get stressed, or they get triggered, or they blow up. And there's this kind of real hot and cold, I trust you, I don't trust you, yes, no, I'm not sure about you, I'm not sure about me, I don't quite trust anyone or anything feeling that's really at the core of the disorganized experience. Now, if that's you, my compassion goes out to you because that is a really hard place to be, okay? So I kind of spoilered how the internet might be creating this effect in people in the explanation there. So let's think about this. For a lot of folks, not for everyone, but for a lot of us, the internet is simultaneously a source of delight, a source of maybe entertainment or joy or pleasure or learning or social connection or community or employment or income or all kinds of good things, right? A source of some sort of sustenance and good, but also the internet obviously can be an absolute cesspool of toxic bubbles of folks and judgment and shaming and negative commentary and, comment sections that are toxic and whole websites that are toxic and, intensely graphic imagery and really ugly information at the same time, more than we can handle, right? And so I think for a lot of people, especially, let's say, younger people who are growing up chronically online, the internet is a relationship they're having. In fact, it may be their primary attachment figure in their life. For a lot of folks, the internet is their primary attachment figure, which is terrifying, right? More than their parents, more than a best friend, more than their family members, the internet, right? People retreat, they're on their phones, they're on their devices. And in the stream, they're getting a mix of abusive, triggering, overwhelming, terrifying, uncomfortable, shaming, judging, information that paints a really ugly picture about life or about oneself, alongside, again, laughs, entertainment, pleasure, joy, community, etc. Now, over time, so I don't think that necessarily will immediately cause a disorganized attachment, but I think over time it absolutely could tilt someone's nervous system in that direction where people can start to internalize, oh, maybe I'm not all that great, or maybe humanity's not all that great. People aren't safe. The world's full of toxic people, or, maybe both, or I don't know who I can trust, but also things are beautiful and funny sometimes. And it really can start to fragment a person's sense of safety. Okay. So I'm not saying this is all the time. I'm not saying this is for sure, but I suspect personally that this is one of the major reasons that we're seeing a mental health crisis with the rise of the internet. Sure, I think it's also the competitiveness of looks maxing and Instagram culture and all that, right? I think it's probably just too much information, too much awareness of perhaps some of the darker aspects of the world we live in reality, systemic stuff, historical stuff. That's all really hard. A lot of things that could be contributing to the mental health crisis. But I think just at a real basic level, if we look at the internet and the devices we're using as an attachment figure, they are both a source of threat and a source of comfort. And that's a real issue. So food for thought. I would love to know what you think about this. Does this resonate for you? Is this an aha moment for you? Leave a comment down below. Again, this is part of the Substack post I just put out this week. If you're interested in that, link should be either below or you can hit me up and I'm happy to share it with you. And I want to continue this conversation. So please let me know how this lands for you. I think it's really important to start to look at the internet, again, as a relational source, as a source of attachment, and how much we take it in and how much we filter it out. And I think the underlying skill here for a lot of us, because most of us, personal opinion, I think the majority of folks out there right now are not securely attached. Most of us grew up already with attachment wounds that the internet can really get into and really wound. So personal opinion, big picture here, I think the move is to learn how to fill our own cup relationally and fill each other's cup relationally and create a culture of safe relating that kind of buffers folks from some of the ugly information we're going to see on the internet, because I don't think that's going to go away. And I don't know that we want to sanitize censored internet because that tends to fragment things too. Anyways, those are my thoughts for now. Love to hear yours. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.